What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So, Michigan State football's losing streak now reaches 8 games with a 17-20 loss in Iowa City on Saturday. Now, this is a game that peek behind the curtain, was traveling during this game, was not able to watch the game live, was listening on the radio and whatnot. But it sounded like Michigan State was playing fairly well, and then getting back here and watching it fully here on Monday throughout the whole game, Michigan State played the better game for, essentially 57-ish minutes, 55, 57 minutes, really. They were up 17-7 in the fourth quarter, and then Iowa outscores them 13-0 in the fourth quarter, and literally, essentially within the last 2 minutes of the game, Iowa scores 10 points to go and take a 20-17 lead with a game-winning field goal to cap this thing off. And we're going to get into it here for Michigan State overall, but I mean, this is another game in which the defense has definitely showed up. The last 3-4 games ish, really, this defense has really improved, and even before that, you started to see improvement. It just wasn't enough that you were seeing it on the scoreboard. Now, these last couple weeks, you're seeing this on the scoreboard for Michigan State. Really dating back to specifically the Minnesota game and the Penn State game, really, but even against that school down the road, you saw some good things in that game, just a couple of bust plays here or there. And that's kind of been the story over the last couple weeks, and the offense not doing enough at all. And it's still just shocking how the offense looked the first about month of the season, really up until, the Nebraska game was kind of like the last like solid offensive game overall. And then it's just, been up and down and, mostly down, should I say, for the better part of the last month and a half of the season. But before we do jump into this game, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there. A little more Michigan State football content on the channel, so just make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video. But we'll start out with Iowa because you have to give them credit. Obviously, we knew what kind of game this was going to be. It was going to be an ugly game. Mark Gronowski, for them, 12 for 22, 147 yards through the air, a touchdown and an interception on the day. And yeah, it was not good. And you also have to give Michigan State credit, though. He carried it for 11 times, 57 yards. That's 5.2 yards to carry. Did not allow him in the end zone. And he had, I think, 13 touchdowns coming into this game. So Michigan State was able to hold him in check in that point. But Kamari Moulton, 18 carries, 78 yards. And then through the air, obviously only 12 pass completions. Jacob Gill led them with 4 catches for 23 yards, and then that touchdown late, that was a good ball, good catch by Jacob Gill. Sam Phillips had a nice catch as well for 33 yards, 2 for 46 for Reese Vanderzee. Gronkowski, as we said, he fumbled the ball, lost the ball there, and I think it was Jordan Hall getting on top of that. It was Malik Spencer that had his interception. So Michigan State able to force 2 turnovers in this one. Karson Shahir, 10 total tackles for them, had a sack on the day, 3 tackles for loss. Really impressive for them. And then you move down the list as well. Michigan State's offensive line, while not creating the running room that they need to, which has been a story pretty much all season long, aside from the first game or two, maybe 3 of the season. But Michigan State only allowed 2 sacks in this one. Iowa gets home twice, 7 tackles for loss. They got home as well. And then they had the interception as well before halftime by Zach Lutmer, who we also had 6 tackles as well on the night and 1 tackle for loss. And then also, okay, we'll get into the kicking game as a whole, but we'll start with obviously Drew Stevens. He was 2 for 3 on the night. He had the game winner as well. He did miss one before halftime. Kind of the timeout game situation. Jonathan Smith calls one. He goes out. He made the practice attempt when Michigan State calls the timeout, but then misses the follow-up, the one that actual counts before halftime. So that was good there. Tried the same thing at the end of the game. Didn't happen that time. His senior day, he walks it off in Kinnick for them. But the really puzzling thing here is the actually kicking the ball to Caden Weechin, their dynamic punt kick returner. He kick returned 1 for 18 yards. But he had 3 punt returns for 147 yards total, had a long of 62-yard one, and then, of course, the touchdown. That was Iowa's only score until into the fourth quarter. And I just don't understand why everyone, I think, did he tie or set the record for Iowa punt kick returns? Whatever the case may be, he set a record for, most touchdowns in Iowa history, punt kick returns, whatever. And we're still and we're in game 11 with this much sample size for him, and you're still kicking him the ball, not just kicking it out of bounds or through the end zone every single time. Don't understand that at all. And he got burned. He burned us multiple times in special teams. So that's 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 that. Yeah, and you can't even say some of it. It's not even like, I think he broke like maybe one or two tackles watching those plays back. Ryan Eckley saved one from probably him having two punt return touchdowns. So, yeah, it's not even missed tackles. It's just he's that incredible of an athlete. So why even kick him the ball? But that being said, we'll switch over to the Michigan State side. Alessio Milivojevic gets to start again, 25 for 42, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns and interceptions, stuck in there as well. The interception was one right kind of before half, looked like a little crossing pattern, just kind of tossed up there. Not a good ball, but you'll live with that, trying to get something going. The kind of situation that they went about there before half was kind of weird with the timeout situation. Didn't really know what they were going for there, but yeah, that was that. I think that was on the 4th down as well. Running the ball, as we said, Michigan State's offensive line, will give them credit, only allowing 2 sacks. Alessio was pressured a lot. He was able to get out of the pocket, so not completely giving them a clean bill, grade across the board, should I say. Run blocking, though, Brandon Tullis was running hard. 8 carries, 56 yards, 7 yards a carry average. Elijah Todd-Oliver, 16 carries, 35 yards. Wasn't able to bust one like he had the last couple weeks. It's solid running. I mean, literally 2.2 yards a carry. Not really going to get the job done. Not many holes. I mean, that is, yes, on Michigan State's offensive line, but also credit to Iowa's defense on there. Jack Velling, who we've been talking up and down all season long about getting the tight ends involved in this thing. And look at this game, the tight ends for Michigan State. Jack Velling, probably one of his highest total outputs in a Michigan State uniform, 8 catches for 88 yards. And then you look at Michael Masunis, who he's had a good year as well. He had 3 catches in this one for 47 yards. So that is a good, probably more than 50% of your total offensive wide receiver pass catcher production comes from the tight end room. Krishan McCray had a big day, 6 catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns as well, including a long of 45-yard one as well. So that was impressive for Krishan McCray. And Nick Marsh, 4 catches, 18 yards. Obviously, Iowa's defense with a lot of attention on Nick Marsh. Krishan McCray able to take advantage of that. Nick Marsh did have a fumble, but it went out of bounds as well. He was trying to reach forward for an extra yard or two. I think Jonathan Smith said either in the post game or, recording this later on Monday, his Monday press conference, that, he's maybe been pressing kind of in this losing streak to kind of, make a play for the team. And you respect that. But, sometimes like that, trying to reach for a couple extra yards, fumbles the ball. Don't fault him on that, per se. But Jordan Hall recovered the fumble on defense as well as we funnel to the defense. Wayne Matthews, 9 tackles, tackle for loss. Jordan Hall, 8 tackles, half a tackle for loss. Quindarius Dunnigan, and I do want to say something about this group. Quindarius Dunnigan, Raekwon Buckley, but then also Jalen Satchel as well. The numbers won't pop off the screen, but up the middle, they've been making a lot of big plays during this kind of resurgence of the Michigan State defense over the last couple games that has helped them improve. Raekwon Buckley had 1 tackle for loss in this one, 1 sack. Quindarius Dunnigan, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss as well. You go down Jalen Satchel, 1 tackle on the night as well, but he was making plays up the middle. Aiden West, very impressed with him. 3 total tackles on the night, but thought he has been playing well as a true freshman in that secondary. Avion Gross had some big hits in this one. Malik Spencer, 3 total tackles, had the interception as well. And overall, as I said, I thought overall as a defense, 3 sacks. You got more sacks than Iowa did as a team. 7 tackles for loss, which is tied with Iowa. So, as we said, the defense was playing good and has been playing good over the last handful of weeks. But it's some of the stuff is the play calling again, which we've kind of alluded to all season long. And a lot of the game you give the credit to Iowa and their defense, whatnot, figuring stuff out. They were making good plays, but kind of the end of the game where Michigan State had the ball, they got the ball back after Iowa comes back, ties the game at 17. You go through, I believe it was 2 plays, pass play, first down or close to a first down, or pass play, first down. And then next first down, you pass the ball. I think it was a swing or an out route to Elijah Taliver gets it to second down, second and short. And then, clock's kind of ticking. I think it's at about 50 seconds at this point. There might have been another first down in there as well. But whatever the case may be, you're passing the ball, you're having some rhythm, getting there as you're going down to try to get a field goal, get a touchdown, win the game. You're in rhythm. You get to second and short, as we said, after that Taliver pass, I believe it was. But then you go with a run on second and short. It gets stuff. And then on third down, you throw a nice slant route to which it was a pass interference on Krishan McCray. But the route is going right into where the referee is. So the referee falls down. He doesn't see the hook and hold. I don't know why no other referee is looking at that. But I mean, it was said it on the broadcast, like whatever. Again, that's, kind of like what we talked about in the game against school down the road. Not why they lost this game, but it's a big moment and kind of a situation that you can kind of avoid, I guess, because why would you run it there on second down? Like, I understand if you get close to or on the brink of field goal range running it, but they were still, I don't even think they were at, midfield yet. I think they were right before midfield. So something you can avoid. So the missed PI on third down, and then on fourth down, offense goes out there, and then this was the second or third time Alessio did this in this game. I guess I can, possibly look here. I think it was the third time he did it, where he, goes lines up. We saw Aiden do it a couple times this year as well. Goes out there, he's going to takes a couple steps back and puts it down there, and he had some good balls. He had, I think, 2 of them inside the 20 total for him. Yeah, 2 inside the 20. He had a long of 49. So I mean, he booted the thing down there, but just don't get it at all. Kind of the sequence of play calling, just continuing to put yourself in bad situations. And then, go down. Defense has played good all game, and then kind of same thing that we've seen in a couple games. Penn State game against that school down the road. Even going back to Indiana, we saw some improvements, but then eventually they kind of just, kind of bust through. But, kind of just, I don't even want to say they wore down. But at this point, Mark Gronowski hadn't had it going all game. And they, he got it going. He got into a little bit of a rhythm, essentially. So I don't even think it's the case that Michigan State's defense wore down. I think just eventually Gronowski finally got into a rhythm. He's able to set them up like 1 or 2 nice plays, and then he has a go ball down the right sideline. And this is kind of just like, you put yourself in bad situations. You leave it up to these kind of, plays. I don't even want to call it fluky plays. It's good awareness by the Iowa wide receiver, but the ball goes down, literally pops off of Aiden West. It was good defense. Aiden West, as I said, but very impressed with him, but it bounces off his shoulder. Iowa guy catches it. Boom, you're right there in field goal range. I think they run one more play and then let the clock roll down. Timeout, walk-off field goal for them on senior day. So just kind of a mixed bag here. Impressed with a lot of things that Michigan State did, but again, coming up short here to move to 3-8 on the year. Third down efficiency, thought Michigan State, again, something they've struggled with a lot this year. 4 for 15, 0 for 1 on third down. But defensively, you forced Iowa to 1 for 10 and 0 for 1, respectively, on third and fourth down. Outgained Iowa 335 to 301. Outpassed them 255, 147 overall. And you go down, each threw an interception. Rushing Iowa outrushed you by 70, which is a theme we've seen for Michigan State this year. But credit to defense. They played well all day. Not going to hold them to that. As an offense, you got to get more than 80 yards compared to 154. Penalties, Michigan State, really good. Only 1 penalty for 10 yards. Iowa, who was up there with the least penalized teams in the country, they had 4 for 40 yards. 1 turnover for Michigan State, 2 for Iowa, so you win the turnover battle as well. You just barely win the time of possession as well, 30 minutes, 20 seconds to 29 minutes and 40 seconds. But just in the end, not enough. And now, as I said, you move to 3-8 here, 0-8 in the Big Ten on the year, going into the final week of the season. And in Jonathan Smith's 2 years here, Michigan State has been in a handful of close games. They've been involved in a handful of blowouts as well, unfortunately. But the one-score games, 8 one-score games, and you're 4-4 in those games. You've won 4 one-score games. You've lost 4 one-score games. And this is another one to add to that tally. And listen, against Maryland, I mean, Maryland will obviously get to a preview here, but they're 4-7, 1-7 in the Big Ten. So their season, they technically have no postseason to play for going into this one next Saturday. But yeah, leave it out there. You don't want to go. I mean, shocker here. You don't want to not have any wins in conference play and not have a win for the final 2 months of the regular season, of your season in general. So who knows what's going to happen. Obviously, recording this later, seeing some comments coming out of Jonathan Smith's press conference on Monday. He doesn't even know if he's back next year. We don't know. We haven't heard anything. Every other coach in the country that was kind of on the hot seat for the most part has like, oh, yep, he's gone, or yep, nope, he's coming back. We're putting more money into the roster, which is what we talked about. If he does come back, which my opinion on it by now. But if you come back, it's like, all right, money's got to go into offensive line, defensive line, secondary, in my opinion. And to just get more guys, more depth, because that's the problem. There's dudes on this roster. We've talked about it up and down throughout this year. There's dudes on this roster that with some more depth, this is a 7-8 win team, which is about where I picked them this year with the roster, currently, if they were fully healthy. Obviously have not been fully healthy. So if you factor in the health factor, but then add more depth, you're looking at 7-8 wins, right now. And then, who knows what you do. Ball bounces your way, 1 or 2 games or whatnot. Things can be looking at a 10-win team. Talking about the team, not talking about results from this year. The results from this year are, clear, whatever, with the roster that as was currently constructed. But saying that if you add some depth to some key positions that at Michigan State seems like over the last decade we've constantly seen injuries and whatnot throughout the year, hey, we can be looking at a lot of different things. I'm not saying this in defense of Jonathan Smith or that I think he should come back, but I'm just kind of saying, like, hey, when you look at the facts of the situation here and kind of deep dive into everything, they're not that far off, which no one wants to hear when you've lost 8 straight games now and are on the verge of going 3-9, 0-9 in the Big Ten. If you lose on Saturday, no one wants to hear that, but hey, that's just a fact of the matter. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. We will obviously be back with a preview for the Maryland game, recap for the Maryland game, and then anything that happens afterwards. We have signing day coming up soon as well, transfer portal, whatnot, for football, but basketball as well. Hey, we have the Thanksgiving Fort Myers tournament this week. We'll be back with a preview for that game for the basketball team here on Tuesday, and then North Carolina on Thanksgiving. Got a fun time ahead for Michigan State here. A lot of big matchups, Michigan State basketball as well. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.